I'm always in a modular format. Um, it's easier to work in your studio when you have to transport it. It's always a good thing to be able to have it in sections. So this way, when you get it to the site, you can then recreate it either in something very similar or something totally different. When we first created the work for Oklahoma City, um, it was maybe 28 feet tall, and then we've changed it to being 35 feet tall. So the more members that you have, then you're able to recreate it in just various formats, right? So you have that ability to change and adapt. It's abstract art, and I think that each person that comes to the work will have their own translation of what it feels to them at that moment, because things, of course, change with art as you see it on a regular basis. I started back in the 80s with discovering the tires. I live in the East Village, and every weekend there was always a car fire. So each time you would see the bubbling transition of what the material could become between the different fibers that were made up an automobile, which included the tires. I think that once I began to deconstruct the material, the tires into a material, that's when I knew that it was something that I could explore, and I never looked back. Starting, just think about from the 80s until where we are now, 2024, each year the manufacturers have created and developed and redeveloped their product. And so for me, it's like having a palette like a painter where for each year there's a different a different texture, different movement, different something about the material. So it's like re-educating myself on how to use it. But it is a difficult material to work with, but I think that once you make a commitment towards something that you inspire toward, you don't begin to start trying to break apart the things that are good, bad, and indifferent. Titles are interesting. I mean, I should get paid more for them. It takes a lot. I mean, it's one of those things where you get connected with your process and what you're doing, at least for myself. And when I need to have that end result of possibility of what a title could be, I mean, it could be going out the door doing shipping or an opening for installation at a gallery. So there's no one set thing that helps to bring it on. It's definitely all about what you're doing at the moment and where things are that helps to encourage that kind of, just like with the material, trying to dissect and get to details. I think the titles, at least for myself, is definitely a part of what that challenge is without necessarily having to. I mean, you're always thinking. I mean, a title can come through a larger installation process, or it could just become a piece within that. So you never know exactly. It's just having those channels open so that you're able to receive that information and feel good about it, and know that you can always change it too. I think that when you're working for outdoor projects, you do have people that have to consider your work, engineers, architects. There's just many more things that you have to be aware of between the wind loads and how things are locked into the ground, what's under the ground. So definitely with the public art projects, it's important to be able to have the drawings, have the maquettes so that you can offer those to the people who will be looking at what you, it doesn't matter how crazy it is, it's just that whatever's happening, they got to figure out that you understand at least to a certain point of how it should be locked into place. And then any advice that they can add between gauges of material or just structural things that they would be able to assist and help you with. The world of art and the whole process, it's just enormous, and it keeps growing and it keeps expanding. So you never know all of it. You just know as far as where you've come. I mean, you have your desires of what it is you'd like to do. And then, but of course, money, time, and space will dictate that whole when do you get it, when can you do it, you know. Right, and you have to have the right tools, you have to have the right space, you know, just it's a it's a commitment, and it's a lifelong journey. Also, when you do sometimes begin, you can be full of all different types of possibilities, but you can't really get to them because it's a certain amount of growth, whether you have the knowledge, whether you have the space, whether you have the money, whether you have the tools, whether you have the space to actually then show it. um, Looking for a space of this one after it comes down. But it's always those issues of, like, you take the chances, like, it's wonderful being here, and now the next step would be purchase is always helpful, but the next location of where it'll show.